What's up, guys? We are going to talk about how to do meal preps this week. I think it's one of the things that can really make or break the adherence to your diet, and executing this well all on one day will just make your whole week go so much smoother. Before we get into the video, I wanted to mention Bloodbuilt Coaching. That is who does my diet and training. This meal plan that I'm preparing for this week was prepared by none other than Coach Colton Lucas. He's fantastic. I highly recommend him. We're going to be doing both of our meal preps this week, so the math will be a little different, but we're going to head to the grocery store, buy all of our stuff, and we'll meet you guys right back here. All right, we're here at Costco. Ripe pineapple. Whoa. Color variety bell peppers. This basically covers my vegetables. We're going heavy on the ground beef this week. 8 pounds for me at Costco. 3 packs that wound up being 4 pounds each. One pack for Brooke. 12 pounds total. Yep. Brooke loves doing this for breakfast. I can't eat enough of this to make it worth it for me. We live in Hawaii, so we get this Aloha water. Get frozen blueberries post-workout, so these make my last meal the greatest. There's a bunch of these little cups of guacamole. Each cup has 9 grams of fat, which is exactly or close to what I'm looking for. Naked juices. These I add in for just extra calories, and they have more carbs than like a can of soda, but it's pureed, fruits. Normally I get the Costco brand Greek yogurt, but they didn't have it this time, so went with the Fage. It's my lifeblood. We're back from the grocery store. We've got everything we're gonna cook in front of us, more or less. All right, so we're gonna get the chicken on the grill first. All right, so we're gonna cook the chicken on the grill for about 20 minutes and then flip it. I use a thermometer to check. I want my chicken to be about 165 degrees internal temperature, so I use an internal probe on that. So we're gonna leave that be for about 20 minutes, go inside, get some other things started. We're about to cook all this beef. We're gonna have to do it in batches. We don't have a giant vat that you can cook 12 pounds of beef at once. So we gotta do a couple different batches. And we're about to throw that on the oven.
Stovetop. You said oven.
Stovetop. So one thing that'll make your meal prep go a lot faster if you try to utilize all your resources at the same time. So if you have a grill and an oven and a stove and you got 3 different meats, you would want to try to cook one on each one of those things so they can all be done at the same time. Things like the grill and the oven can kind of be set and forget depending on the meat, but that's going to make your meal prep go a lot faster. All right, so the beef is real close to being done. There goes the chicken as well. Really don't want to overcook beef. This beef is right around like where you want it. I'm glad that this happened because now you guys get to see. If you have a grill, make sure you always have 2 propane tanks, because sometimes the propane will just run out mid-cooking something. Ooh, it's so close. We're at 155, so we're really close. So let's see, a few of these might be done. This one's done. You can take that off. The smaller pieces might be done. 75, oh yeah, that's done. Okay, we only got to cook 3 more pieces. I'm gonna change the propane tank out.
While Will is getting the grill situated, we're going to take the ground beef and put the spices and tomato sauce in it and then divvy it up into the exact amount that Will will be needing for his meals for this week.
4 tablespoons chili powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of cumin, 1 teaspoon oregano, 1/2 teaspoon garlic, 1/2 teaspoon onion.
I always drain the fat and the water out of the beef. We count fat from other things and more or less assume that the chicken and the beef and the fish are all the same fat percentage. This is our protein.
After the fat is drained, we add in all the spices plus 2 cups of tomato sauce and stir it all together.
In my diet, the way that mine works is basically 4 times a day there's going to be meat, and each time right now is roughly 6 ounces. Now, we have added some tomato sauce to this beef, so I put in a bit more and it's going to be somewhere around the 6 ounce mark. So I am going to spoon this out, put it in this bowl, measure it, put it in my Tupperwares, and do it as quickly as possible because we got to do it 21 times. Got water in the dishes because you can't forget about your dishes. All 14 of my beef meals have been weighed and scooped out. The only thing I have to do to get these covered and stored is cut up the peppers and put them in here.
Nice.
You just start, these are flat ones, something with a flat blade, so you can just really go to town. Alright, so in theory I'm supposed to have 100 grams of vegetables each one of these meals. In reality, I don't think it matters that much, so I'm not going to weigh them all, but I'm going to try to divvy up what will accumulatively be roughly 100 grams per meal. So these are mostly for taste and digestion, some micronutrients, sure, but the important trying to put on some mass. Oh, another thing. I love these Walmart Tupperwares. They're super cheap, they're super light, and they stack super nicely. So they have these little grooves on the bottom that line up with the tops of the one beneath it, and it makes them just really stable to carry. I like to get my chicken in nice chewable bite sizes to reduce the amount of work that I have to do. About 6 ounces of chicken per meal. There's nothing else on this chicken, so there's no extra weight to account for. So I get pretty close to 6, but if it's over or under, it's like, you know, this is the amount of chicken that I bought this week. So if it was under, I might try to compensate it with something else like yogurt or protein powder. Normally I always go over, and then I either have a bit more for those meals, or I have a surplus for another day. And there we are. And then the last thing I do is, I live in Hawaii, it's hot, so I make sure that my bottles of water are in here. We have space for them, you know. You certainly don't have to do this part, but this is the last thing I do, is put 7 bottles of water. All our meat is prepared. One of the last things I do, luckily kiwis are already, you don't have to do anything with them, you just take one whenever you need it. Gotta cut the pineapple, which is part of my daily diet, and so I'm gonna do that all on one day and put them in plastic bags that are already weighed out, so I don't have to do any preparing or weighing for the whole week for the pineapples. So, all right, I'm cutting. Hawaii used to be a big exporter of pineapples. They are no longer, but they still grow a lot of pineapples on the island. But we got this one at Costco. I'm not even sure if it's from here. But there is something extremely satisfying about cutting into a pineapple. It's such an impressive fruit, and one of them is like so much actual food. Not to mention all the awesome enzymes like bromelain that pineapple has. It's just an awesome fruit in general. The only thing about a pineapple that, say, like a kiwi or an apple is sort of nicer is that you don't have to prepare those. Just wind up with these big slabs, these big meaty chunks. All right, now it's time to weigh the pineapple and put it in these plastic bags so they're all prepared for the week. My diet, which is prepared by Colton, is 150 grams of pineapple per serving. I have it with my third meal of the day. Normally, one pineapple is almost exactly the right amount for 7 different portions. This week, the pineapple was a little bit smaller, so I'm only getting six portions of pineapple, but it's a pretty small amount, so I'm okay with it this time. If it were to go up, let's say if my diet needed 50 more grams of pineapple per week, I'd probably have to go with 2 pineapples and then find something else to do with the rest of it, maybe freeze it and put it in smoothies later. But right now, one. All right, last thing we're gonna do, all the meals are technically prepared, but we haven't cleaned the kitchen yet. And it bothers me when other people make these meal prep videos and they go, you can do your meal prep in 1 hour. And they start the clock after they've already unpackaged all their stuff and have the grill fired up and the temperatures on the oven is already like preheated and all this stuff, and then they start the clock. We started the clock when we put the groceries on the counter. Nothing was prepared yet, and we're going to stop the clock when we have cleaned up the kitchen and it looks exactly as it did before we started. So when people are like, oh yeah, I did my whole meal prep in 1 hour, probably not as extensive of a meal prep as we did. Maybe a few meals, or they didn't exactly portion them out, but this is a pretty comprehensive meal prep. And once we're done cleaning up, which is going to take us 10-15 minutes, we will be under the 4-hour mark. So that's how long it took us.
Before we end this, let's take a quick look at the morning prep.
Always good to prepare fresh rice every morning. This is weighing out 280 grams. I set the rice cooker to start before I wake up, so it's ready to go for the day. On to breakfast. We cook our eggs every morning. I've got 2 eggs and 100 grams of egg whites. It's about 20 grams of protein. Then I mix another 30 grams of whey protein in with my cream of rice, which rounds out my macros for the morning. This is the intra-workout drink. I mix creatine, EAAs, electrolytes, and taurine in Gatorade. All right, here's the post-workout shake. We do 300 grams of fat-free Greek yogurt, 120 grams of blueberries, 30 grams of whey protein, a little bit of water so it mixes, and 120 grams of honey. All right, there you have it. That was our meal prep for the week. About 20 pounds of meat, 21 prepared meals for myself to take to work, a bunch of auxiliary food, and about 4 pounds of cooked meat for you for the week. That's how we do it. Time is 1:59. We started at 10, so right around that 4-hour mark to give people a realistic amount of time that it takes. You can see that includes the clean time and all the and make your week more productive. Shout out to the Bloodbuilt team and Coach Colton. They're pretty awesome. Highly recommend.